Have you ever wondered why, despite all the tools, books, and promises of change, you still feel like something inside you is out of place? Maybe you wake up each day with a quiet sense of unease, as if life is moving faster than you can fully live it. Perhaps, when you look in the mirror, you don't just see a tired face, but a reflection of unmade decisions, swallowed words, and paths you should have taken, but hesitated. Now imagine, what if 2025 isn't just another year? What if it's the year when everything changes, the year you finally turn things around, from the inside out? Not through empty promises or occasional motivational speeches, but through a silent, relentless, profound transformation, a Stoic revolution. We're entering an age where distractions shout and truth whispers, where anxiety masquerades as productivity, where hurry has become a religion and silence a taboo. But the ancients already knew better. Men like Epictetus, born a slave yet becoming a master, Seneca, who advised emperors and wrote as if every word could be his last, Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the known world while battling wars both inside and out. They had no social media, meditation apps, gurus, or life coaches, but they possessed something increasingly rare: internal mastery, clarity amid chaos, steadfastness in loss, freedom where others see only imprisonment. They had habits, practices, disciplines forged in the fire of real life. In this video, you'll discover the top 10 Stoic habits that can and will transform your life in 2025. It doesn't matter if you feel lost, frustrated, weary, or broken. Each habit is a stepping stone. Each teaching is a weapon against apathy, cowardice, and illusion. Here, you won't find empty phrases or magical solutions. You'll face a mirror. You'll confront yourself. And if you're brave enough, you'll leave this video with something no one else can give you: self-mastery. So sit down attentively, breathe deeply, disconnect from the outside world. Because what begins now could be the start of your rebirth. The way you wake up sets the tone for your daily battle. Waking up on autopilot is like stepping into a war without knowing your enemy, without a shield or sword, without even being dressed for combat. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, started his days with a practice that may seem simple but is brutally transformative. He wrote to himself. He reflected, anticipated obstacles, reminded himself of virtues, temptations, and the brevity of life. He never left his state of mind to chance. He trained his mind before stepping onto life's battlefield. This is clarity of purpose. It's not just knowing what you're going to do. It's knowing why you're doing it. More than that, who you want to be while doing it. Think of how many days you've lived without clear intention. How many mornings have been swallowed by notifications, urgent tasks, external pressures. Stoicism invites us to start the day like a general reviewing his plan of action, like an archer adjusting the tension of the bowstring before the shot, like a sculptor deciding where the chisel will first strike the stone. It all begins in the invisible realm of your mind. That's exactly where you must start sculpting your day. The Stoic question upon waking isn't, "What do I have to do today?" but rather, "What virtue will I practice today, no matter the cost?" Justice, courage, discipline, wisdom. Choose one. Bring it into consciousness and carry it like a shield through the hours ahead. A powerful technique is the Stoic morning preparation, which can take just 5 to 10 minutes, but holds the potential to completely alter your inner state. First, stop. Before anything else, before touching your phone, before your coffee, sit down, breathe deeply, and mentally visualize the predictable challenges of your day. Maybe a rude boss, stressful traffic, a difficult client, or feelings of inadequacy. See it all. Imagine how you, guided by reason and virtue, would respond to each scenario. You're not rehearsing disaster, you're practicing strength. After this, make a Stoic affirmation, something like, Today I will face challenges and be greater than them. The world may harm me externally, but never internally. Hold on to it, repeat it, engrave it. This habit also helps you break the cycle of reactivity. A true Stoic isn't a puppet of circumstances. He's the architect of his own character. And there's only one way to start building. From the foundation. The morning is that foundation. It's no coincidence that the greatest spiritual leaders and philosophers throughout history had morning rituals, not out of superstition, but out of consciousness. They knew if you start the day being dragged around, you'll spend the rest of it trying to get back on your feet. But if you start firm, centered, connected to a greater purpose, you become unshakable. And it's not about romanticizing suffering or pretending everything will be easy. Quite the opposite. It's precisely because life is unpredictable, unfair, tough, and often cruel that you need this clarity. A soldier without purpose loses the battle before the first attack, but a human being with purpose is an entire army, even alone. True freedom isn't about doing whatever you want, but rather not being a slave to what you feel. Human emotions are like internal storms, inevitable, natural, yet dangerous if we don't know how to navigate them. Epictetus famously said, "We are disturbed not by things, but by the opinions we hold about them." If taken seriously, this phrase changes everything, because it places the key to your emotional balance within yourself, not in the hands of others. Fate, traffic jams, criticism, failure, or anxiety. You might feel anger arising, but you don't need to let it grow. You can sense sadness approaching, but you don't need to invite it to stay. The Stoic mind is like the captain of a ship in the midst of a storm. He can't control the sea, but he can control the rudder. Mastering emotions doesn't mean suppressing them. It means understanding them and placing them at the service of reason. The Stoics never preached cold indifference or emotional denial. They advocated self-control as the supreme virtue, not as repression. And the first step toward this is awareness. You must learn to recognize when you're being hijacked by an emotion. Anger, envy, fear, neediness, guilt, all these appear as visitors, and you must decide if they get a voice in your internal council or if they'll simply be observed, understood, and released. A trained mind isn't one that doesn't feel, but one that doesn't blindly obey what it feels. In the modern world, where everything is designed to trigger your impulses, notifications, comparisons, judgments, false urgencies, controlling your emotions has become a rare and precious skill. It's like having superpowers amidst a crowd of emotional explosions. An offensive comment no longer throws you off balance. A delay doesn't turn you into a monster. A loss doesn't destroy you from within. You feel, but you're not swept away. You react, but with wisdom. This practice begins with a simple Stoic question in any emotional upheaval. Does this depend on me? If yes, act virtuously. If not, breathe, accept, and redirect your energy. Another powerful exercise comes from Seneca, the emotion diary. At the end of each day, write down which emotions controlled me today. When did I lose my composure? What can I do to prepare better tomorrow? This continuous practice of self-observation creates a healthy distance between you and your impulses. It's as if you've stepped off the stage and sat in the audience, watching your own play with greater clarity and less attachment. Freedom exists precisely in this space between impulse and action, and the Stoics trained this space like warriors sharpening their reflexes. Remember, it isn't anger that destroys you, but what you do when you're angry. It isn't anxiety that paralyzes you, but the stories you feed your mind when it appears. Emotions are just signals, warnings from the body, echoes from the subconscious. They are not oracles, masters, nor monsters. You can listen to them without kneeling before them, because in the end, the one who governs your life is either you or them, and you must decide who will hold the rudder in the midst of the next storm. You don't control how the story ends, but you alone are responsible for the words written on each page. This is one of Stoicism's toughest, yet most liberating truths. Life is a battlefield where you fight with everything you've got, yet without any guarantee of victory, and still you fight. Because virtue lies in the struggle, not in the prize. Because the value is in the action, not in the applause. Epictetus was clear. Some things are up to us, others are not. The distinction between what's within your control and what's beyond it is the dividing line between suffering and peace. Most people live in agony because they've placed their happiness in outcomes they can't control. They crave promotions, recognition, the right answers, the perfect emotional response, and collapse when these don't come. The Stoic, however, commits to the effort, not the reward. Think about the irony here. The more you cling to outcomes, the more fragile you become, because everything beyond your reach can crush you. A no ruins your day, criticism silences you, a failure becomes your identity. You become hostage to consequences instead of author of actions. But when you accept that the outcome isn't yours to claim, something magical happens. You become free. You start acting with excellence simply because it's right, not because it will reward you with something. You train, work, dedicate yourself, deliver, and let go. Stoic detachment isn't negligence, it's freedom. Seneca said that whoever suffers in anticipation suffers twice. When you obsess over what might happen, you're building mental prisons with your own hands. The Stoic acts like an archer who does everything possible to aim perfectly, but knows the wind may blow, the target may shift, the arrow may fail, yet he still shoots with all his being, because that's what's up to him, and that's enough. This mindset is revolutionary in 2025, an era where everyone is addicted to metrics, likes, validations, and performance. If you can act with integrity even when nobody's watching, if you strive with excellence even without recognition, you'll stand among the truly free few of this century. You can practice this with a simple Stoic phrase whenever anxiety about the future arises. I did what depended on me. This phrase is armor. It's balm. It's a reminder that your worth lies in your conduct, not your fate. Apply this philosophy at work, in relationships, in studies, in health. Always do your best, but release the outcome. Not because you're indifferent, but because you're invulnerable. What drives you isn't applause, but honor. It's not the return, but truth. And if that feels tough, remember, everything fragile breaks. But what's Stoic endures. Your power ends with action, and that alone is more than enough to transform the world, starting with yours. Memento mori. Remember death. 3 words that carry a philosophical bombshell. 3 words the Stoics engraved in their minds like a constant whisper amidst the noise of life. And why? Because humanity's greatest mistake isn't dying. It's living as if we were eternal. Most people postpone decisions, swallow feelings, hide behind empty routines and obligations they never chose, as if they had some secret contract with time, as if they could live 50 years in standby mode and only then begin. But the Stoics knew, death isn't the end, it's the reminder. It's a signal that our time is finite, that now is all we truly have, and that each day lived without virtue, truth, and presence is a tragedy disguised as routine. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." This isn't morbid, it's clarity. Constant awareness of death doesn't depress, it awakens. It helps you choose your battles wisely. It compels you to say what must be said, forgive swiftly, abandon pride, and cut away the unnecessary. Because you know, the clock is ticking. The day to act is today. The moment to transform isn't after the holiday, nor the turn of the year, nor when everything is perfect. It's now, because that's all you truly have. The habit of reflecting on death might seem dark, but it's actually a practice of clarity. Try asking yourself each day, either upon waking or before sleeping, what if today were my last? Not as a threat, but as a call to action. How would that change the way you treat people? How would you handle your time? How would you spend your energy? Most of the things you currently call urgent would vanish, and the truly important things, those that touch your soul, would come alive. Living with death nearby isn't living in fear. It's living with courage. It's knowing time won't rewind, years won't wait, and the soul withers if not nourished by conscious choices. When you embrace this habit, you stop sabotaging yourself with distractions. You realize the time you waste in meaningless arguments, fear of judgment, or paralyzing perfectionism is time stolen from yourself. The Stoic, reminded of death, doesn't despair. He organizes himself. He clears the house of the mind. He chooses carefully where to invest his love, his strength, and his voice. He understands that every day is a final rehearsal. In the end, what counts isn't how long you lived, but how you lived. With what intensity, what purpose, what truth. Death is closer than you imagine. And that's not a threat. It's a blessing in disguise. It's philosophy's greatest gift, urgency with what matters and indifference toward what doesn't. Once you accept finitude, you begin to truly live. No longer as a survivor running on autopilot, but as an awakened, whole, fully present human being. Memento mori, because remembering death means remembering to live. Comfort is a golden cage, warm, soft, seductive, but still a cage. The modern world sells us the illusion that happiness lies in avoiding pain at any cost, that success means living without frustration, delays, or effort. But Stoicism teaches precisely the opposite. The path to greatness inevitably passes through discomfort. Epictetus famously said, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will find peace." He wasn't advocating passive resignation. He spoke of active strength. One of the most direct ways to cultivate this strength is voluntarily exposing yourself to what bothers you, what challenges you, what shapes you. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in Rome, practiced days of voluntary poverty. He slept on the floor, ate minimally, and walked barefoot, all to remind himself that he needed none of these comforts to be truly free. This is training. This is philosophy embodied. Because the Stoic understands that if you're strong only when things go well, you're not strong, you're just lucky. And luck doesn't last. So he prepares. He exposes himself to cold, hunger, silence, and waiting. He wakes earlier than needed, fasts when he could eat, walks when he could remain still, not to suffer, but to strengthen his spirit, to prove to himself that comfort does not rule him, that the external world does not define his inner power. You don't need to become a monk to practice this. You can start with simple actions, small disruptions in the cycle of indulgence. Take a cold shower, walk without headphones, spend a day without social media, eat a simple meal in silence, face the discomfort of telling the truth you've been avoiding, stay alone with your thoughts, even if they scream. Because the more you surrender to immediate pleasure, the more vulnerable you become to inevitable pain. But when you practice discomfort voluntarily, what once knocked you down becomes just another step upward. This habit also prepares your mind for dealing with the unpredictable, because what's trained in peace is utilized in war. Resilience isn't born on the battlefield, it's cultivated behind the scenes. By seeking controlled challenges, you develop internal muscles. You learn that cold passes, hunger doesn't destroy you, silence won't kill you, pain isn't the end. You learn to stay, to endure, to cross over. And this skill is rare, powerful, and valuable. In a world that flees from suffering, the Stoic learns to dance with it. Not from masochism, but from wisdom, because ultimately discomfort is just the price of freedom. And if you truly want to be free, you must be willing to pay that price. Imagine yourself in the eye of a hurricane. Around you, everything spins furiously, winds of demands, fear, pain, and turmoil. Yet at the center, there is silence, calmness, presence. That's where the Stoic resides, in the center, not because the world became less chaotic, but because he refused to be swept away by it. Seneca once said, "The greatest wealth is not depending on luck." And what he meant was this: true stability isn't found externally, it's internal. In a world where everything fluctuates, the economy, relationships, other people's moods, the news, to be unshakable is almost an act of sacred rebellion. It's the silent victory of someone who has learned not to be rattled by what they cannot control. But pay attention, being unshakable doesn't mean coldness. It isn't icy indifference, it's depth. It means having roots so firm that no storm can tear you away. It's the serenity of knowing chaos is part of the game and still choosing composure. The modern Stoic needs this strength every day. When receiving an aggressive message, facing an unexpected no, watching plans crumble, being betrayed, rejected, or misunderstood. In these moments, he doesn't react with despair. He pauses, breathes, rationalizes. He asks himself, does this threaten my virtue? Does this compromise who I am? If the answer is no, he moves forward, whole. Here is where the daily practice of Stoic meditation becomes essential. Each morning or evening, revisit the day's events. Where did you lose your center? What threw you off balance? Why? These reflections, conducted with brutal honesty and self-compassion, create an emotional map that prepares you for the next challenge. And when it comes, because it surely will, you won't be caught off guard. You'll be ready, trained, stable, like a rock amidst the sea. Additionally, cultivating imperturbability is the key to wiser decisions. How many times have you regretted something done in the heat of emotion? How often have you hurt someone, made a bad decision, or said things you didn't mean, simply because you were shaken? External chaos feeds internal chaos, but the Stoic breaks this cycle. He doesn't refuse to feel, but refuses to be dominated by feelings. He acts according to his principles, not his impulses. This transforms the way he lives, leads, relates, loves, suffers, and heals. You can't stop the world from going mad, but you can stop it from taking your peace with it. True strength isn't built of walls, but consciousness. And the true Stoic warrior isn't the one who wins battles. He's the one who remains whole afterward. In the end, chaos is what the world hands you. Being unshakable is what you hand back. The most powerful voice echoing in your mind is your own. Not what others say about you, but what you repeatedly, silently, tirelessly say about yourself. And therein lies one of Stoicism's most transformative habits, the art of self-talk. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote not for the public but for himself. He was an emperor, yet he felt a daily need to dialogue with his soul, to remind himself of his principles, correct his deviations, and uphold his integrity. He knew the world shouts, but the mind, when trained, can whisper louder. Stoic self-talk is not shallow self-help. It's a philosophical discipline. It's looking at yourself firmly, yet kindly. It's as if you split your mind into two voices, the impulsive and the rational. Every day, you choose which one leads. When anger arrives, the Stoic voice says, "This doesn't make me better. I am greater than this impulse." When fear strikes, it whispers, "Pain is real, but panic is optional." When procrastination appears, it confronts, "You were made for more." Discipline is the bridge between what you want and who you are. And this internal dialogue, cultivated consistently, reprograms your behavior, your courage, your clarity. But beware. Most people sabotage themselves daily with invisible words, automatic, destructive thoughts repeated like negative mantras. I'm not good enough. I always mess up. Nothing ever works out for me. These phrases, even if never spoken aloud, shape attitudes, decisions, and relationships. The Stoic refuses to be a victim of this cycle. He interrupts it, replaces it, trains it, because he knows that the mind, left unchecked, tends toward unconscious repetition. But if educated, it can become an indestructible ally. A powerful Stoic practice is writing to yourself daily. It doesn't have to be beautiful or long, just honest. 3 simple sentences can shift your state. 1. What must I remember today? 2. What must I avoid today? 3. How do I want to respond to adversity? These questions, answered sincerely, have the power to align your mind with your ideal self. It's as if you awaken the philosopher within and hand him control of your day. Mastering self-talk means reclaiming the rudder of your mind. It means learning to be the counselor you need, even when nobody else is around. Because in the decisive moments of your life, you'll be alone with your thoughts, and what those thoughts say can either lift you up or tear you down. So train your mind, speak to it, discipline it firmly, yet compassionately. Because in the end, you are the only one who will be with you every second of your life, and that inner voice can be your greatest prison or your liberation. The biggest lie you can hear is the one you silently repeat to yourself every day without realizing it. The lie that says everything's fine when it's not, that you'll change soon, yet you do nothing differently, that it's always someone else's fault, the world's, circumstances. Stoicism demands a kind of brutal yet profoundly liberating honesty, a truth that hurts at first, but heals afterward. Marcus Aurelius didn't write to please his ego, he confronted himself. Epictetus taught that the greatest obstacle to progress is believing you already know enough. And Seneca said that no wind is favorable if you don't know where you're sailing. Honesty with oneself is this map. Without it, you walk in circles. With it, you begin to move forward, even if it hurts. Being honest with yourself isn't about self-hatred or punishment. It's clarity. It's seeing your flaws, your vices, your cowardice, and still not running away. The modern world teaches the opposite. Distraction, justification, numbing. You sense you're living below your potential. Yet you exchange this discomfort for dopamine, another video, another treat, another excuse. But the Stoic pauses. He looks inward. He becomes silent. And he asks, what exactly am I avoiding facing within myself? This question is a key, and only the courageous dare to turn it. You need a mirror, not just one of glass, but one of consciousness. Take a moment each day to ask yourself frankly, was I my best self today? You don't have to be perfect, but were you honest, courageous, committed to your values, even when it was hard? This consistent self-analysis differentiates those living on autopilot from those living with presence. It turns a superficial existence into a journey of constant growth, and if you failed, good, because now you've seen it, and only what is seen can be changed. Seneca recommended writing 3 things at the end of each day. 1. Where was I virtuous? 2. Where was I weak? 3. How can I do better tomorrow? This simple daily practice creates a spiral of awareness. You cease being a puppet of habit and become the artisan of your character. Even more, you learn to forgive yourself with integrity, because true forgiveness doesn't stem from forgetting, but from honesty. You forgive yourself not because you ignore your flaws, but because you have the courage to face them. Truth can hurt, but illusion kills slowly. You must choose. Would you rather have the comfort of self-deception or the cleansing, awakening, transformative pain of truth? Life doesn't demand perfection, but it demands honesty. And the ultimate proof of strength is looking inward without turning away. You can curse your difficulties, or you can use them as fuel to become unbreakable. This is one of Stoicism's most powerful truths. The obstacle isn't the end, it's the beginning. To the weak, adversity feels like punishment. To the Stoics, it's a laboratory. Marcus Aurelius wrote, The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. These words aren't just beautiful, they're a sword. Armor, a map to pass through pain without becoming lost in it. Because deep down, every difficult moment holds a hidden gift, the chance to forge virtue. Epictetus was a lame slave. Seneca was exiled and persecuted. Marcus Aurelius faced wars inside and outside the empire, yet all left a legacy of wisdom and strength, not despite adversity, but because of it. They understood that it's not what happens to you that defines you, but what you do with what happens. Pain can crush you or lift you, freeze you or awaken you. The choice is yours. The Stoic views hard days the same way an athlete views tough training. That's where muscle grows. That's where the mind strengthens. That's where character is revealed. Thus, he never asks, "Why is this happening to me?" but rather, "What is this trying to teach me?" He doesn't deny the pain. He embraces it. He studies it. He reframes it. He transforms it. Because he knows that every crisis contains a lesson, and every wound, if treated courageously, becomes a scar, and scars are maps of overcoming. Practically, you can train this perspective in small and large moments. Lost a project? Reflect. What did I learn? How can I improve? Rejected. Ask yourself, am I seeking approval or alignment with my values? Illness. Wonder, how can I use this time to cultivate patience, acceptance, faith? The Stoic transforms life into a spiritual gym. Every fall is an exercise, every disappointment a test of integrity, every loss an invitation to humility. There's something even deeper. When you start viewing adversity as part of the journey, you stop fearing it. You stop living defensively. You understand that you don't need everything to go right in order to grow. You simply need the willingness to push through. The Stoic mind doesn't desire an easy life. It desires a strong soul, because a strong soul can flourish, even in the desert. In the end, adversity reveals who you are. But more importantly, it offers you the chance to decide who you will become. And that chance doesn't come with glamour or comfort. It comes disguised as pain. Accept it, embrace it, transcend it. Because what challenges you today can define your greatness tomorrow. You weren't born just for yourself. You're not here merely to satisfy desires, collect achievements, or protect personal interests. Stoicism reminds us of something greater, something that transcends centuries and borders. You are part of a vast family called humanity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What is not good for the hive cannot be good for the bee." With this metaphor, he invites us to live as citizens of the world, with responsibility, empathy, and integrity. Because being Stoic isn't only about mastering oneself, it's also about serving the whole. At the heart of Stoic philosophy lies the concept of cosmopolitanism, the idea that all of us, rich or poor, Greek or barbarian, men or women, are citizens of the same cosmos. This changes everything, because when you realize you're part of a greater whole, your actions carry deeper meaning. You start thinking not just about what I want, but what is right. Your decisions shift from impulsive to moral. Your words go from reactive to constructive. Your presence in the world is no longer distracted, but becomes intentional. The Stoic habit here is simple yet profound. Act as if the whole world were watching. Not out of vanity, but consciousness. How do you behave when no one is looking? How do you treat those who can offer you nothing in return? How do you respond to injustice, cruelty, ignorance? The Stoic refuses to be driven solely by self-interest. He's guided by universal principles: justice, moderation, courage, wisdom. He asks himself daily, what am I leaving behind in the world? Am I being a bridge or a wall, light or shadow? And it's not about perfection, it's about direction. Every small action has the power to affect the whole. A gesture of kindness, an ethical choice, a compassionate word. These are seeds planted in invisible yet fertile soil. The Stoic plants, even if he won't see the harvest, because he knows true virtue acts for good sake, not applause. He knows a life guided by eternal values builds something greater than fame, wealth, or success. It builds legacy. In today's world, dominated by division, selfishness, and superficiality, living as a citizen of the world is an act of courage. It means choosing to see the other as part of oneself, deciding daily that your conduct will be your message, that your posture will be your testimony, that your life will, above all, be a contribution. Whether in the quiet of an ethical choice or in the strength of an act of justice, the Stoic leaves his mark, and that mark is never erased. You've made it this far. You've walked through 10 habits, 10 steps, 10 invitations to transformation. And now, perhaps something inside you has shifted. Perhaps something has awakened. Not because I said so, nor because the Stoics commanded it, but because deep down you've always known there is a stronger, clearer, more integral version of you, waiting to be lived. And it won't appear through magical promises, quick formulas, or hollow phrases. It's born of practice, of silence, of looking inward, of the courage to chisel yourself every single day like a statue being sculpted by its own artist. You don't need to become a monk or an emperor, you simply need to begin. Wake with purpose. Control your impulses. Let go of attachment to what is beyond your control. Remember that death exists. Therefore, life must be urgent. Face discomfort like someone forging inner armor. Stay grounded when the world crumbles around you. Choose words that heal, not sabotage. Be honest about your falls. Use your pain as training, and understand that you're not here just for yourself, but for everyone walking this same unstable world beside you. Stoicism is not an ancient code lost in books. It's a sharp blade, a torch you carry, a compass always pointing north. To live with virtue in the face of reality, no matter how harsh it may be. And that is within your reach. Now, so let this video not just be another piece of content that passes through you. Let it be a turning point. From today on, may each morning bring a new call. And with every challenge, may you remember, I was trained for this. With every stumble, may you say, this is raw material for my evolution. And one day when you look back, may you say with serenity, I truly lived. The world won't change because of you, but you can change the way you walk through it. And sometimes that's enough to light a spark in the dark. Now close your eyes, take a deep breath, and choose. Will you keep being a prisoner of impulse, or will you begin living like a true Stoic? The choice is yours. It always has been.